For October 6th, 2022 is in session. Roll call.
Carlson.
Here.
Vieira. Maniscalco. Here. Pertek. Here. Goods.
Here.
Miranda. Here. And Citro.
Here.
We have a physical quorum.
Ms. Doc, I would like to say we're briefly going to run through the agenda review. However, it looks as if we're going to have a lot of changes.
Yes, yes,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman? Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Good.
before you do that, if you wouldn't mind introducing our new clerk. I can tell you she was amazing yesterday. We had a situation here, it was late, with some constituents, and we were able to get some help, and she speaks Spanish, and we needed somebody last night, and she was on the spot. She stayed late, helped me, wrote some stuff up, and my aide was gone, so, Suleen and Mr. Chairman, you get introduction so people can know her? I would appreciate that.
I had that on my agenda over here, but please, go right ahead, Councilman
Suleen, could you
Goods.
introduce her again?
Yes, this is Charlene Soto Quintana. She's currently within our office, and she's going to take over some of Danielle's duties, and you will see more of her. She'll be working on our workshops and CRA meetings. You want to tell something about yourself? She came from the water department, so she was already a current city employee.
Yes, I'm happy to be here, you guys.
Welcome.
And I'm very happy to have her.
Ms. Doc, let's clear off our agenda first, and then we'll go into the rules and procedures, okay?
Absolutely, Chairman
Thank you.
Citro and Council, thank you so much. Good evening. I'm LaShawn, Doc Development Coordination. And for tonight's agenda, I'd like to go through the items that we have listed. For item number 1, which is REZ 2233, the applicant has requested a continuance to December 1st. And the applicant is here if you have any questions.
Is there anyone here who wants to speak?
And I will go through that.
Thank you, sir.
Make your motion.
A motion to continue item number 1 to what date did you say, December 1st?
December 1st
December 1st at 5:01 p.m.
at 5:01.
Is there anyone in the room that would like to speak to the continuance only to agenda item number 1, file REZ 22-33? We have a motion made by Councilman Maniscalco, seconded by Councilman Miranda. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
In council, item number 2 is REZ 2241. This is a misnotice, and this is one of the cases where this is the second misnotice for this particular applicant, for this application. And pursuant to the code section 27-150D, If there are two missed notices, the application is withdrawn.
Move
And
to
I'm not
withdraw
certain
item
if the
number two.
applicant is here or not, but
Why don't we ask if the applicant is here, just for the record? Mr. Chair.
the applicant for REZ 2241 is 710 West Platt Street. No, I guess they're not.
Move to withdraw.
All right,
We
thank
have a
you.
motion made by Councilman Maniscalco, seconded by Councilman Goods. All in favor? Now, Ms. Doc, would you please say what has to happen? Was this misnoticed by the city staff or by the applicant?
This was misnoticed by the applicant, and from what I understand, this applicant was going through the process also with ARC. They had a hearing at the ARC, it was denied, and of course, no applicant anticipates a denial. And I think they were working with Historic Preservation to try to redesign the site and come back, except they haven't communicated with us as far as on the rezoning side of things.
Just for the public watching and the public here, can you please explain what happens if there is two misnotices?
So the case at that time is automatically withdrawn. You cannot reapply for 6 months from the date of the hearing that the second date was scheduled. So it has to be 6 months from today.
Thank you, Ms. Stock. Please proceed.
Absolutely. Thank you. And item number 3 is REZ 2243. This cannot be heard. It is a misnotice.
Move to withdraw.
Removed from the
Move to remove item number 3, RZ 22-43 from the agenda.
Motion made by Councilman Goods, seconded by motion made by Councilman Maniscalco, seconded by Councilman Goods. All in favor?
Aye.
And item number 4 is REZ 2248. If this item could be removed from the agenda, this is a
Move to remove
misnotice.
from the agenda, RZ 2248.
We have a motion made by Councilman Maniscalco, seconded by Councilman Goods. All in favor?
And item number 6 is REZ 2282. The applicant has requested a continuance to November 10th.
Move to continue RZ 2282 to November 10th, 2022. Yep.
There's a motion made by Councilman Maniscalco, seconded by Councilman Goods. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to the continuance only of agenda item number 6, REZ 22-82? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, item number 7 is REZ 2283. If this could be removed from the agenda, this is a
Move
misnotice.
to remove RZ 2283 from the agenda.
We have a motion made by Councilman Maniscalco, seconded by Councilman Goods. All in favor?
Aye.
And item number 9 is REZ 2289. The applicant sent in an email, they're requesting a continuance to December 1st, 2022.
Move to continue RZ 2289 to December 1st, 2022.
Motion made by Councilman Maniscalco, seconded by Councilman Goods. Is there anyone here to speak to the continuance only of agenda item number 9, REZ 22-89? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And next, council, item number 10 is REZ 2290. If this could be removed from the agenda, this
Move
is
to
a
remove
misnotice.
RZ 2290 from the agenda.
Motion made by Councilman Maniscalco, seconded by Councilman Miranda. All in favor?
And lastly, item number 12 is REZ 2299. If this could be removed from the agenda, this is a misnotice.
Move to remove RZ 2299.
So move.
I have a motion made by Councilman Maniscalco, and that motion was seconded by Councilman Goods. All in favor? Thank you.
Mr.
So
Chairman,
if I could,
Councilman Goods.
question from Ms. Dock. Why do we have so many misnotices on this agenda?
yes, so thank you so much for asking that. We've noticed that there has been an increase in misnotices. Within the last couple of hearings, which you've seen on the agenda, there are various reasons that applicants do not complete notice. One thing that we did do is once we noticed that there was an increase in misnotices, I reached out to the clerks, to Michelle at the time. The clerks is always willing to help us, which we certainly appreciate. And I spoke with Suling after Michelle left, and I asked her, what is the reason for the misnotices? What is she seeing? What's the main thing? Is it our signs? Is it our notice? Is it our instructions? She said that the number one thing is that they're just not completing notice. It's not being done. It's not that it's being done incorrectly. So what we're trying to do on this end is to increase the communications with the applicant, and also just increase awareness to let them know this is the code requirement.
So they're missing, why are we putting it on the agenda if it's not gonna be her? I'm just trying to figure out if we know that, why are we putting it on an agenda?
Well, the way it works is we will set a list of cases and we send notification to the applicant to do notice. They're already set, so the agenda is ready or is drafted at that point. Then the applicant has to complete notice. If the applicant does not complete their notice by doing their mailings, posting their signs, then they are a misnotice. If they do nothing at all, they're a misnotice. So the other thing is, some think that if they don't do anything, like they may not be ready for whatever reason to move forward, whether it's contractual obligations or what have you, and they just may not do notice.
So why wouldn't we have everything completed first before we even put them on an agenda? I mean, to me, I'm looking like, I want all your stuff, before I even let you go forward, to even get to council for an approval, I want everything done first to know that you've completed. You're wasting our time and wasting our staff's time. So is that something this council needs to look into, looking to change, or is your department looking to change or make some different policy changes? Because to me, it makes no sense. When I get on the agenda, I'm thinking, okay, I got all this stuff here, and come to find out, council's spinning wheels and other people are waiting, wasting time. So your recommendation on that, or is your department doing anything about that?
Yes, so what happens is, in order for you to be set for a case, you must have submitted revised plans, you have to have an approved legal description. There are certain things that you must have before we will even schedule you. So if you don't have that, you won't even be scheduled. And then once we schedule you, if you've met the criteria and you're ready to move forward, then we schedule you. Then from that point, then it's the applicant who's doing the notice and doing the mail out, and they would do the sign posting on the property. Some, for whatever reason, have not completed notice at all. And so what we're trying to do on the other end is, notify the applicants that if you don't do notice, it is in fact a misnotice. Because a misnotice is not just if you do notice incorrectly, it's if you don't do it at all. And that still counts as a misnotice. And then the other action that we're taking now, more recently, with the last set of cases that we set, we're contacting each applicant and saying, hey, we're gonna set you, are you ready? And that way, that confirms with the applicant, you're gonna get notice, you have to do your public notice, your mail outs, and at that time, they can communicate with us and tell us whether they think they need additional time, they're working with their client, what have you, and they'll let us know at that time. I think too, also, Councilman Miranda hit the nail on the head at the last hearing when he said we communicate differently now. It's by email, it's not the phone. We don't pick up the phone anymore. So I'm sorry to applicants, we're calling you. We're calling you to see, let's have this discussion. Where are you in this process? Are you ready to move forward?
I understand, but I still just think that I look at completed before you should be placed on an agenda.
Absolutely, it has to be.
I think you need to look at that. I just think, waiting for them to see if they did what they're supposed to, and now it's that time, and now we're here, and they haven't done it, to me, that's a problem. I think we need to reverse that.
Councilwoman Hurtak.
Well, I think a lot of the problem is you can send them so far, and then unfortunately, you have to notice within a certain window. So we can't say you have to have noticed and then you can get on the because of the timing.
It's the timing, and
It's
it's
a timing
codified.
issue.
Everything is
I'm
codified.
curious what other municipalities do about these things. Are there any of them that, I mean, I'm just throwing this out there. I know it's a lot more work, and I don't know if it's a legal thing that we can or can't do. I mean, can we take over the notice and charge like a ridiculous fee, like $1,000 to notice for them? I mean, is there something that we could do in that regard that would help get further along? So if you don't feel like noticing yourself, we could charge a stupid fee and do it for you. I'm just curious.
If I can just answer before Ms. Doc does. State law doesn't allow you to collect a ridiculous fee for something. It has to reflect its actual cost. So just to burst that bubble.
You know that, boy.
The other item, Councilwoman Hurtak, is that we just have to also make sure the applicant is gonna be in town for the hearing. Are they here? I mean, yes, we could go ahead and do notice. Are you even able to attend physically?
Yeah.
If you can't, or either virtually now.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
can't, it would do no good to set a date.
Yeah, it's just such an interesting conundrum because is it, I mean, just like what Councilmember Good says, is it new people who just don't know? Is it folks that just, are things taking longer and people are using this misnotice as a chance to get things done before they get on the agenda? It's just interesting. Yeah,
That's what I think.
yeah, it might be, but anyway, thank you.
Absolutely, yes.
Councilman Miranda.
I just want to memorize my colleagues here today. You said history. In all my years of public service, I've never seen 6 on one calendar that are misnoticed, ever. I mean, ever.
Same
And
here.
what you mentioned, Ms. Hurtak, is that the, way back, sometimes they'd have 5 and 6 continuance. Now you got 2 after that, you're wiped off, you got to start again. So there's been some changes through the times, and it's for the better, really.
Yes.
Because somebody else wanted to come in, now you got so many you can't get in, and you shouldn't be in. But thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Councilman Miranda. And Ms. Stock, you and I, Councilman Carlson. Chair speaks last.
Yeah. 2 questions. One is there a difference in being penalized with a 6-month wait for having the second misnotice versus just withdrawing the application? Which one is better for the applicant?
I mean, it would depend on the applicant's situation. Sometimes an applicant knows they just don't want to move forward with the application, and sometimes they apply, they may not be in the correct process, and then they would withdraw the application.
So the second thing is, there are a lot of theories circulating around about why this might be happening now. One is that our former colleague had thrown out the word moratorium, and so there could have been a big rush to get into the system before some big change like that was made. There's no change like that on the table right now. But it could be that one theory is that there was a rush just in case that happened to get in the pipeline. The second theory is that there are a bunch of text amendments in front of us that might change the situation. And so if somebody could delay until after those text amendments come back, would that change their situation? So I would just ask Suling or whomever's working on this, if you could just help us understand some of the nuances of it, because it can't be a coincidence that this many are happening. There's something underlying this. And it's not that many people are making mistakes. And so if there's something systemic going on, we should be aware of it so we can figure out what to do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Ms. Stock, we've got to get a tighter grip on this, and it's staff, and it's us, and it's petitioners. This is affecting everybody. And as far as I'm concerned, forewarned is fair warned. One time, we'll let you slide on it. Second time, not. You got to wait 6 months. And I think it should be even longer. Thank you, Ms. Stock. I appreciate it. Let's go to
Absolutely.
agenda item number 5, REZ 22-58.
Yes, Council, so this is the first item for this evening in LaShawn Dock Development Coordination. This is the application for the applicant, Ramik Wilson, who is being represented by Ms. Wilson, who is here this evening. This is for the property located at 2806 East Ellicott Street. The request is to rezone the property from RS 50 residential single family to IG industrial general. And I'll turn it over to the Planning Commission now to make their presentation, and I'll come back and give you my presentation.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank
you
you.
open the hearings up, sir?
Somebody would like to make a motion to open the hearing?
So moved.
Should have jumped on that
Yeah,
earlier.
You just said.
I just whispered.
Have a motion made by Councilman Miranda, seconded by Councilman Goode. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, anybody seeing as how we went through the agenda forward, backward, upside down, right, and left, anyone giving any type of testimony today, would you please stand up to be sworn in? Sideways, whatever ways.
Please raise your right hand.
Thank you.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Please forgive me. Mr. Shelby, would you please go through the guidelines?
Very,
And if I may ask,
yes,
can we do this one time for the rest of the council, the year?
we could do
Can we
this,
do it one time and get it done and over with?
we could do it no times, depending on, and we're gonna talk about this, I'm
But
gonna
what I'm
raise
saying
this.
is we do this every meeting.
We don't have
Can we just
to.
do it one time and clear it out for the rest of the year?
The short answer to that is yes.
Thank
And
you,
I'll bring it up at the end.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll do this very quickly. That the citizens and the public of the city of Tampa are able to watch this meeting on cable TV channel, Spectrum Channel 640, Frontier Channel 15, and on the internet at tampa.gov/live stream. And members may participate in Tampa City Council meeting presently here at 315 East Kennedy Boulevard by attending in person or through video teleconferencing referred to by Florida statutes and rules of CMT. Public participation virtually. Pre-registration is required. That information is available on the city's website, tampa.gov/city council, in the agenda and in the notice of this hearing. Now, particularly in quasi-judicial matters, you need a device that has video and audio. Smartphones will not work. I'm going to ask council to please waive the rules to allow the continued use of CMT until we make it, that we don't have to do this anymore.
We have a motion that's been made by Councilman Good, seconded by Councilman Maniscalco. All in favor? Now that we've gotten everything done legal, discussed everything, the reasons why we're doing things the way we're doing, please proceed.
Good evening, Council. Emily Phelan, Planning Commission staff. The subject site is located within the Central Planning District and the East Tampa neighborhood. The closest transit stop is located 0.3 miles south of the subject site at the corner of 22nd Street and East Osborne Avenue. Clarence Fort Freedom Trail is the closest recreational facility located 0.1 miles south of the subject site, and the site is located within Level E evacuation zone. Here's an aerial of the subject site. It's outlined here in purple. It is generally located north of East Osborne Avenue and east of Middleton High School, which is over here. The surrounding area is characterized by light industrial, light and heavy commercial, and a few residentially zoned properties. The subject site is here in purple, and this is the future land use map, and the orangish color is the transitional use 24 designation. The subject site is surrounded by transitional use 24. This is Middleton High, and this is residential 10. Planning Commission staff reviewed the application and found no adverse impacts to the surrounding neighborhood. Parcels surrounding the subject site are zoned industrial general. While there is an existing single-family detached unit to the west, the comprehensive plan requires commercial uses to be buffered from any residential development. The comprehensive plan promotes compatible development and redevelopment to sustain stable neighborhoods and ensure the social and economic health of the city, and discourages residential development near industrially zoned properties. Given the presence of industrial general zoning to the east and south of the subject site, the proposed industrial general zoning supports policy direction by discouraging the potential of residential development. Due to the industrial general parcels in the immediate surrounding area, Planning Commission staff finds the request comparable and compatible with the surrounding area and is consistent with the development pattern anticipated under the transitional use 24 designation. This concludes my presentation. If you have any questions.
Any comments or questions for staff?
Thank you again, Council. LaShawn, Dock Development Coordination. And again, this is item number 5. This is REZ 2258. So the subject property is currently vacant. The size of the lot is 6,600 square feet. That is the lot area. And I have an aerial map with the zoning to show you the property. So, I didn't bring my pen. This is the property that's identified here in the red dotted area. And this is Ellicott. This is 29th Street, just to orient you on the map. This is Osborne, so it is north of Osborne. And you can see that this area right now currently is this property in question and the property just west of it that has the RS50 zoning. Surrounding it is IG zoning, even to the east. And then you have a pocket of RS50 that's here, but you'll find a mixture of the zoning designations here within this area, and residential uses along with some commercial and open storage uses in that immediate area. And then I have pictures of the site. So this is the site. You can see it's currently vacant. This is east of the site. 29th Street is to the right of this picture. This is a picture southeast of the site. This is at the southwest corner of 29th and Ellicott. This is south of the site. This is west of the site, which is vacant. It's the larger vacant lot that's to the west. That's another view of that same lot. And this is immediately west of the site. The development review and compliance staff reviewed the application, finds the request consistent. I'm available if you have any questions.
Any comments or any questions?
Yes, sir.
Councilman Goode.
That the property behind Middleton, by the railroad track?
No, this is a little further
Oh, my God.
over, because here's Osborne, oh, on this side.
Yes, but football field's back there. It's supposed to
Yes.
be by there. It is. Because you got all the brush back there.
Yes.
Okay.
And on this, it's hard to see. 29th Street
Right.
actually goes through, but the
You don't go all the way
tree
through though.
canopy
Right.
kind of blocks it in this area. So it looks like it stops here. But it actually goes through, yes.
Any other questions? Thank
And the applicant is here if you have any questions, the representative for the applicant. You come. And state your name and for the record.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Regina Wilson, and I'm the agent for my son, Ramit Wilson.
Is there anything you'd like to add? The reason why you're asking for this?
Well, when we bought the property, we didn't realize that one side was industrial and the other side was residential. We didn't find that out until later, till we tried to sell the property, and then it was a conflict of interest.
Any comments or questions for the petitioner? Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this? Do we have anyone online?
Second.
We have a motion to close by Councilman Maniscalco, seconded by Councilman Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Councilman Carlson.
Yes, sir, I'd like to move for approval file number REZ 2258, ordinance being presented for first reading consideration of ordinance rezoning property in the general vicinity of 2806 East Ellicott Street in the city of Tampa, Florida, more particularly described in section 1 from zoning district classification RS 50 residential single family to IG industrial general, providing effective date. I'd also like to state for the record that the proposed zoning district would allow for development that is comparable to the character of the surrounding uses and is consistent with the wide range of uses allowed under the transitional 24 designation. The proposed zoning category is consistent and compatible with the existing development pattern in the surrounding area.
A motion made by Councilman Carlson, seconded by Councilman Maniscalco. Roll call vote.
Goose,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Vieira, Maniscalco,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Hurtak,
Yes.
and Citro.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously with Vieira being absent. Second reading and adoption will be held on November 3rd, 2022 at 9:30 a.m.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Agenda item number 8, file REZ 22-85.
Yes, thank you, Council. LaShawn, Dock Development Coordination. And, Council, this next item is item 8, and this is for the property located at 1242 Channelside Drive and 629 and 635 North 12th Street. The applicant is represented by Alex Shaler, and the request is to rezone the property from CD2 Channel District 2 to PD Plan Development for residential multifamily and storefront residential, office, and commercial uses. So I'll turn it over to Emily to give her report, and then I'll come back and give my report. Thank you.
Emily Phelan, Planning Commission staff. The subject site is located within the Central Planning District and the Channel District neighborhood. Significant transportation-related infrastructure is present within proximity of the subject site along Channelside Drive. This site is served by 2 HART bus routes, and the Tico streetcar runs adjacent to the site along Channelside Drive. Memorial Dog Park is the closest recreational facility, located a quarter-mile west of the subject site, and the site is located within Level A evacuation zone and is also completely within the coastal high hazard area. This is an aerial of the subject site. It's right here in purple. The HART routes run here, and the streetcar runs along this side of Channelside Drive. The surrounding area is urban in character and is trending toward a mixed-use development pattern. To the north and east of the parcel are light commercial, light and heavy industrial, and public, semi-public uses. And to the west are multifamily uses, which is the apartment complex. This is the adopted future land use. The subject site is here and is represented by the magenta color, which is Regional Mixed Use 100 designation. In July 2022, the City Council adopted ordinance number 2022-118, a plan amendment recognizing the subject site under the Regional Mixed Use 100 designation. The applicant is utilizing the Central Business District Periphery bonus to attain additional intensity on the subject site. The plan development proposes a 7.0 FAR, which is consistent with the RMU 100 designation through the periphery bonus. The comprehensive plan encourages residential, mixed-use, retail, service commercial, and other pedestrian-oriented uses along mixed-use corridors to be oriented towards the street by placing them towards the front of properties with entries and supes fronting the street. The applicant has provided multiple entrances facing North 12th Street as well as Channelside Drive. Sidewalks are provided along the adjacent right-of-way, which will help ensure sidewalks interconnect with existing and future sidewalks on adjacent public right-of-way. The request supports many policies in the comprehensive plan as it relates to housing the city's population. The comprehensive plan encourages new housing on vacant and underutilized land to ensure an adequate housing supply is available to meet the needs of Tampa's population. The request is also consistent with the Compact City Form strategy, which seeks to promote housing at densities that promote walking and transit near employment concentrations, residential services, and amenities. The proposed PD is consistent with the development pattern anticipated under the RMU 100 designation and is comparable and compatible to the surrounding development pattern. This concludes my presentation. If you have any questions.
Any comments or questions?
Thank you again, Council. LaShawn, Doc Development Coordination. And this is for REZ 2285, which again is item number 8 on the agenda. So the request, as we mentioned, is to rezone from CD to PD for the residential multifamily use and storefront office and commercial uses. So Emily has familiarized you with the site and the location. So this site is comprised of 3 parcels. There are 2 parcels that are located here on 12th Street. This is the site plan that was submitted. So to orient you, this is 12th Street, this is Channelside Drive. And so there are 2 sites that are located here, 2 parcels, and then there's 1 parcel that's located here on Channelside. And the total for those 3 parcels is 1.5 acres. So the applicant is proposing to construct 2 towers on site, and they're identified on the site plan before you as Tower 1 and Tower 2. And Tower 1 proposes a maximum building height of 365 feet and proposes to construct 532 units. And Tower 2 has a maximum building height of 175 feet, and that is where the storefront residential office and commercial use would be located, and that would consist of 8,000 square feet of those uses. So the total building area is 457,380 square feet, and that puts you at the proposed FAR of the 6.98 or 7.0. So access to the site, as Emily mentioned, is on 12th Street. You can see there's an entry only here on the northern portion of the site, and then there's an entry and exit that's located here on this side on 12th Street. Traffic would flow in, and then you have a garage that connects the 2 towers, the 2 tower spaces. And as has been presented to you, the future land use designation on the property is RMU 100, residential mixed use, which allows for a maximum FAR of 3.5 by right, but this is located within the CBD periphery. The applicant can request up to 7.0, which is what the applicant has requested. They've entered into a bonus agreement. This bonus agreement allows them to achieve that 7.0, and as a bonus, they are providing, pursuant to section 27-140 F1, they're agreeing to pay 10%, to provide 10% of their rental units as affordable housing units, and that is their bonus to achieve that 7.0.
Repeat that again, Mr. Chairman.
So they're going,
Councilman Goods is recognized.
yes,
That piqued my interest,
yes, absolutely, Councilman Goods,
10%?
So that is the bonus that they're going to achieve. There's a list of amenities that the applicant can select from under 27-140. And one of them that would allow you to achieve the bonus is to provide 10% affordable housing, and that is what the applicant is doing. So there's an associated bonus agreement with this rezoning, and you'll see a separate item on that on the agenda. So this is the zoning map. This is the aerial of the property. This is the property identified here. This is the other end. It's not highlighted in red, but that is the other side of the property on 12th Street. So you can see the Cd2 zoning here. The Cd3 is the zoning that's here. The 2 properties that are here that have the star, this is the south end of the Gasworks project, which came before council not long ago. So those are the 2 parcels that are on the southern boundary of that project. And this is Channelside Drive, and Twig Street is located here. So I'll show you pictures of the site starting on the east side, go north to the east, and then circle to the west. So the site on the east side is currently vacant. Let me zoom in on it, sorry. So this is the site here behind the fence. That's looking south. That's another view. That's a close-up of the site. This is the eastern side on Channelside. This is north of the site. And that's another view heading north, another parcel. This is further north. This is east. Another view to the east of the site. And then we'll circle back. This is looking south. So this is on Channelside Drive. And if you're looking south, this is the west end of the site. So this is on 12th Street, and this is the site that's to the left in this picture. This is another view. The same, this is 12th Street. That will be to the right down at the bottom of this picture, and that's the site on the west. Sorry. This is west of the site, that's on 12th Street. And this is the view, this is on the west side of the site. The site is to the right of this picture, and that's looking north on 12th Street. The development review staff reviewed the request, found the request inconsistent with City of Tampa Code of Ordinances, and just see the finding from transportation related to the waiver requested from transportation. There is a point of clarification I'd like to make on the waiver requested. There's a waiver, number 1 on the site plan, which is to reduce the required parking. And you may recall recently, council, there's a privately initiated text amendment from the Tampa Downtown Partnership, represented by Karen Kress, and she brought forth a request to reduce the required parking in the Central Business District and the Channel District. And that has been adopted, so that changes the parking requirements for this particular project. So that waiver would be removed between first and second reading, and I provided a revised revision sheet for you, and it has been provided to the applicant. So after the code amendment, the required parking would be 403 spaces, which is a difference of 145 spaces. So that waiver would not be required. And yes, and you have the revised revision sheet. So that concludes staff's presentation? Yes.
Councilman Carlson.
Just one quick question, and pardon my memory, especially after a long day. Could you maybe put that aerial map back up and just tell us where the, I forgot the name of the downtown exception area stops? So in, years ago, council kind of gave up authority for downtown so that staff can approve downtown projects. Is this anywhere near close to that boundary?
Is that the periphery you're referring to?
Yeah, so
The
if a
CBD
project is in
periphery?
downtown, the staff can just approve without council's approval. So how far away is this project from that boundary?
So
Is
that
it
is
close or
within the Channel District. It is.
the downtown?
Because this interstate is almost a divider and on the east.
So it's
further
just, it's
north.
adjacent to it?
Yes, you're talking about the DDR process that we have, where
Yeah.
you can apply and go through the DDR process. It's for the CBD, Central Business
Yeah, yeah.
District, for the downtown
Yeah, so if
area.
it was a block
that's
away,
further.
staff could have just approved it and,
Well, a little further south also, here's CBD2, here's
Uh-huh.
Meridian Avenue, and then here's Channel District, that's on the right. So it's really like 2-3 blocks over.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Thank you.
Thank you.
Petitioner.
Tyler Hudson, 400 North Ashley Drive, and it's an honor to be here on what I hope is a historically short meeting. Let's get this PowerPoint going up.
You say it with such a straight face.
We'll see, it's not over yet. All right. Vila Development Partners is the developer of this project. Nick Benjamin's here in from Kansas City. With us here in the room, we've got my colleague Alex Shaler, as well as experts from Kimley Horn, which is the civil engineer for the project, Artie Cintron and Brandon Masiello. Available virtually in case there are questions. We have Dark Moss, who's our arborist, Smallwood, who's the project architect, and Links and Associates, who's the project designer. I think everyone's pretty familiar now with the project location. I think one thing to note that's important about this is it does stretch between 12th Street and Channelside. I think 12th Street's going to be shocking, the difference between what 12th Street looked like a couple years ago and now. This entire block is really going to get filled out with development. You have one site that's already, I think, topped out, the Daniel site, and then this project's adding a really significant amount of density with over 530 units, and that 12th Street's going to walk up into where the quote new 4 Greenfields is, which is technically a part of the Gasworks project that I think this council is extremely familiar with at this point. Just to walk through how the development's actually going to work, the vehicular ingress, egress, I think really the kind of the frontage of the site's going to feel like it's on 12th Street, not on Channelside Drive, despite that being a little bit of a busier street. There will be an entrance on Channelside Drive there to the east that you can see. But the retail, the main entrance, the lobby, that's going to be geared up on the western side on 12th Street. So 8,000 square feet of ground floor retail, which is a pretty significant amount of the frontage space. You'll see sometimes folks will put the leasing office at the very front and use that as the activation. Leasing offices aren't always the most dynamic places, so that's actually set a little bit back. And instead, really most of the frontage, that's usable space is going to be allocated to retail. LaShawn mentioned the 10% affordable set-aside, so we're rounding up, so that's 54 set-aside units which I believe is the second largest set aside that's been up to City Council to approve, second only to Gasworks. The 27 of those will be at 80% AMI rent limits, and the other 27 will be at 120% rent limits, which again, that makes a big difference for the housing needs of this community. And with that picture, I'm going to leave things to my colleague Alex.
Alex Shaler, also 400 North Ashley Drive, for the record. As Tyler showed the 2D layout of the site, we thought it was important to show these renderings as well. As you can see, Tower 2 is a shorter tower. That's the one that's fronting Channelside Drive. We have the larger tower, Tower 1, that's directly located along North 12th Street. As you can see, the parking garage is very well screened as shown in this rendering. The amenity deck is shown there as well. We're very grateful to have staff support on this application. Planning Commission found this consistent, as well as almost all of the City of Tampa reviewing departments, with the exception of transportation, and we will go into that in the next couple of slides as we run through the waivers. So as LaShawn mentioned, the parking waiver is going to be removed between first and second reading. It's no longer needed. So that leaves us with 3 remaining waivers. We have a loading waiver, green space, and setbacks. The loading waiver, we usually come before you guys with 2 waivers as it relates to loading, and the first one is, as shown on the screen, to allow the loading to occur in more than one continuous maneuver. As you can see, the truck will come in and pull in along the north side of that circulation and come back, pull up back into the yellow highlighted loading zone. We often request a waiver for maneuvering in the right-of-way as well. That is not being requested with this application. The red dash line is the property boundary, and all the circulation will be on-site for loading. Second waiver is a green space waiver. We're required for multifamily to provide 30%. We are proposing to reduce that to 11%. Most high-density developments have all of the circulation internal to the building and to the parking garage, and thus aren't required to provide VUA green space. As you can see, we have that northern loop that's external to the building, and that does require VUA green space. So although that isn't counted in the 11% that we're providing, that is about 1,400 square feet, with the approximately 3,100, 3,200 square feet of multifamily green space. So that brings the total to 4,600, which is just below that required approximately 5,000 square feet that we would need for the site. I also wanted to note that in discussing this and looking through the green space, as you all know, Channelside is inherently impervious, and I think that the Channel District CRA has done a really, really good job of taking some of these public spaces and creating green space so that the community has, gathering areas of green space that even though they're not necessarily on individual parcels. So as shown here, the Washington Street Park, which we're all familiar with, that is actually in design for renovations. And then the proposed park, the RV lot, how the CRA is referring to it, the closing is in progress. So the planning will be underway soon with construction next year. The last waiver that we're requesting is a setback waiver. The Channel District is somewhat unique in that all of the front yards that are required are based off of the street in which you're located. So we have frontage along 12th Street as well as Channelside Drive. As you can see on the screen, they're relatively low setbacks, and then they increase as your building height increases. Given the maximum proposed height of our building, I will not bore you with those calculations, but we have them listed here on the screen. So we're technically required to have a 24.3 to 29.3 foot setback along Channelside Drive that's shown in red, and then along North 12th Street, we're reducing from 39 feet to 20.5 feet shown there. Urban design does support this waiver request. I think we're very familiar with certain circumstances where a direct application of the code results in a design that isn't necessarily the best planning principles. So strict adherence to the code would create this eastern and western large setbacks with a very tall building in the middle, which is isolated from the surrounding development. So like I had mentioned, good planning principles for urban design includes reduced setbacks and moving those buildings closer to the road, in this case North 12th Street and Channelside Drive, so that way we can activate those corridors and foster pedestrian engagement along the ground level. And with that, I'm going to pass it to Nick Benjamin with Vila Development Partners, and he's going to talk a little bit about his company and why they're interested in our market here in Tampa.
Hi, I'm Nick Benjamin with Vila Development Partners. Don't think I can talk quite as fast as Alex and Tyler, but I'll do my best. Really excited to be talking to you about this project today. Our philosophy at Vila is that you can build luxury housing that looks like this and still make it attainable, that you can deliver best-in-class amenities, you can make additions to skylines that we're proud of and that communities are proud of, but you can also include in those buildings a significant amount of workforce affordable housing. We're really excited to have the opportunity to do that in Tampa. There's so much energy in this city from a development perspective, from a growth perspective, the investments that have already been made in the Water Street project, by some of our neighbors who are here today in the Channel District, the potential of the Gasworks project to the north. We're very eager to have the opportunity to become a part of the community and to invest in it. And happy, we have some other speakers here, but happy to answer any questions once they're done. And thanks again for the opportunity.
I forgot to mention that we have 5 additional support letters that came in a bit after the deadline, so I've got 10 copies here for you, Marty, and that's all we have. So happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Any comments, any questions? I just have one for the design on fronting channel side of Tower 2. The beginning to the south side, it's only 9 foot for the sidewalk. What is the widest width on that sidewalk, or the frontage to the sidewalk?
It's 15 feet, but in case there's some follow-up, I'm going to have our civil engineer expert come up to discuss the footprint a little bit.
Just to,
Is that the other question?
come on.
No. Artie Cintron, 201 North Franklin. I think we just moved offices with Kinley Horn.
Okay, again, the Tower 2, fronting on Channel Side Drive. I see down there at the very south end, it's 9 foot for the frontage to the sidewalk. What is the rest of the?
Here, and I have a. Bear with me 2 seconds. So per code, there is a streetscape minimum. So at its widest, we'll have a 15-foot sidewalk activation along channel side. And then it'll come down to 9 feet at its minimum. It kind of has kind of a curvy kind of.
I see that. That's the reason why. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good.
I saw that, but that's the reason why. You know, I'm going to thank you for making this pedestrian friendly. So let's hope it stays that way. Thank you very much.
That's her intent.
Any
My
other
pleasure.
comments or any questions? Councilman Carlson.
Legal can cut me off if I can't ask this question, but the way it looks, one tower is shorter than the other. I wonder why. Is it because of code or FAA or what? That both of them are not high? And how far are you from the FAA guidelines? Would FAA have allowed you to go higher even?
The second tower could be higher, but this program is kind of what allows the two buildings to coexist best from a view and design perspective, and allows us to have significant amenity space between the two of them.
So
and it's also what matches the buildable FAR. The shorter tower plus the larger tower maxes out what we can build on the site.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from council? Is there anyone in council chambers who would like to talk to this? It's all yours.
Hello, my name is Ken Stoltenberg. I live at 1208 East Kennedy Boulevard, about 2 blocks south of the subject here. And we'd just like to say this is a wonderful project for the Channel District in a lot of ways. And it's the first one that I know of that's been built in the Channel District that addresses the affordability issue and reserves a substantial amount of units for workforce housing. And this is something that should be encouraged. And obviously, I have some ideas on how to further encourage that I'll be talking to you about later, but we're here to talk about this project. So the design elements and what these folks want to do is certainly something that we want to have a lot more of in the Channel District. Thank you.
Councilman Carlson.
We know who you are, but for the record, could you just tell the public a little bit about your experience, just so we know?
I've been a developer in the Channel. My company is called Katie Keller. We have a sister company, Mercury Advisors. We've been active in development in the Channel District for, well, now the past 20 years.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Madison Baptiste. I'm currently a student at the University of Tampa. This year I'm a junior, and it's my first year having to live off campus. Each year since I've started at the school, more and more freshmen have been coming each year, so it makes the housing extremely competitive on campus, forcing most upperclassmen to move off, which in my case happened. Unfortunately, most of the developments that are close to the school and in downtown are just way overpriced for most people my age. and I'm forced to have to commute to school every day, multiple times, whether it be my work courses or my part-time job, or I'm in other organizations on campus, which I have to commute to school very late at night, multiple times a week for meetings. I think this development would be a great option for students, being more affordable and very close to the campus because it gives you the opportunity to possibly walk or take public transit, and I think it would just be a much better option and relieve many students and families of some financial stress. Thank you.
And what year are you at?
I'm a junior
You're a
this year.
junior. Too bad this won't be around when you graduate.
I know, so I
If
want
you're- while
other
you're
people to
still-
benefit
while
from
you're
it.
still in school.
But, yeah, thank you.
Hi, how's it going? My name is Robert Evans. I work at the Crunch down in that Channelside district. When this was presented to me, I think this would be an awesome opportunity, obviously, because of the large multifamily homes that are being built in that unit and the influx of business that it's going to bring to those surrounding areas, such as my own business, and like I work based off of the people that sign up for a gym. So obviously everything else in that area is going to benefit from it. I think obviously bringing more people to that area is great just for everybody in that area. I know there's a lot of small businesses, including like poke companies, a couple of bars in that area, mini grocery stores. So obviously just another unit coming that is, and also on the point of the affordable housing. I mean, I moved out to Tampa having graduated from college myself, and the price of living had went up. I think that's an awesome opportunity for people, and piggybacking on her point, college students that are trying to live in this area, young professionals, I know a lot of them are moving to this area. So I just think it's great, obviously, the density of the downtown area and like public transportation and everything like that. So I think that's awesome.
Thank you. Anyone else who would like to speak to this? Do we have anybody online?
Second.
Question first. Ms. Doc,
Councilman Goods, you're recognized.
thank you. The bonus density of 10%. You always say verify, right? Check and verify.
Trust but
Trust and
verify.
Everybody know I'm a big proponent of housing. I want to make sure I'm clear, because it's going to be the second time we've possibly done this with the bonus with housing, correct?
Correct.
How are we securing it or checking it to make sure that the person is in compliance? I want to, is that, I just want to know. That Ms. Wells?
Oh, I can mention it, it's on,
Yeah. If I may, Kate Wells for the record. So the bonus provision agreement that if you approve the rezoning tonight, then the bonus provision agreement will be on your agenda for approval at second reading. It sets out all the conditions that ensure that the 54 units that are going to be available for affordable housing, that they remain affordable for a period of 30 years. There are certain documents that will be recorded and be of title. So if the ownership of this development were to change, they would be on notice of that requirement. There are annual reporting requirements back to housing and community development. There's the opportunity for staff with HCD to also inspect and ensure that the units are complying with the terms of the bonus provision agreement. So it's a pretty lengthy agreement. It's one that we've worked on over the years and continue to improve upon, basically to ensure that we've got compliance with those terms.
What? You don't know what you don't know. That's why I would ask the public is listening, because we're in a situation here in Tampa. I'm glad, it's a lot of units over there, but we're at a starting point now. So I'm happy that the developer is trying to see what Tampa's trying to do. So I'm gracious to that. Wish there were more, but it's a starting point.
Absolutely, Council. In addition, there is a condition on the site plan. On note number 11 on the site plan, it conditions and it makes the notation of the bonus agreement and the requirement to provide it.
We have a motion to close by Councilman Maniscalco, seconded by Councilman Miranda. All in favor? You are welcome. We got Councilman Maniscalco.
All right. I would like to present an ordinance for first reading consideration, ordinance rezoning property in the general vicinity of 1242 Channelside Drive and 629 and 635 North 12th Street in the city of Tampa, Florida, more particularly described in section 1 from zoning district classification CD2, channel district 2 to PD plan development, residential multifamily, storefront, residential, commercial, and office. I also adopt the findings and reasoning of the Planning Commission staff report, which did find it consistent. I find it in compliance with applicable goals, objectives, and policies in the comprehensive plan, specifically land use policies 8.14.1 and 8.14.2, as well as new housing on vacant and underutilized land, and that is consistent with land use policy 9.2.1 and housing policies 1.3.1, 1.3.3, and 1.34.4. Compliance with the Land Development Code, section 27-136, as well as the revised or the revision sheet that we have attached to this. Also, as mentioned by other council members, the 10% in what we are now calling attainable housing, workforce housing, which we know the demand. We want people to be able to live, work, and play all over the city and in the places that are prospering, so this gives that opportunity. That is my motion, and also remember we have a resolution after this, so.
Second.
That's that.
A motion,
No, I added the revision sheet, yes, sir.
Resolution will come back for adoption.
second reading.
Second reading.
Yes.
We have a motion made by Councilman Maniscalco, seconded by Councilman Miranda. Roll call vote.
Viera, Goods,
Yes.
Maniscalco,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Hurtak,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
and Citro.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously with Viera being absent. Second reading and adoption will be held on November 3rd, 2022 at 9:30 a.m.
And move the resolution as well. For the,
Next time.
at
Next
second
time.
reading, okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Agenda item number 11, REZ 22-94.
Thank you so much, council. Oh, sorry.
Would have left it here.
And council, item number 11 is REZ 2294. It's for the property located at 2211 North 65th Street. The applicant is Jose Saavedra, and the request is to rezone the property from RS50 Residential Single Family to IG Industrial General. And I'll turn it over to Emily to do her presentation, and I'll come back and give my presentation. Thank you.
You better believe.
Yes, please.
Emily Phelan, Planning Commission staff. The subject site is located within the Central Planning District in the East Side Commercial Neighborhood. The closest transit stop is located 1.18 miles west of the subject site at East Columbus Drive and North 50th Street. Keenly Park is the closest recreational facility, located 0.33 miles northeast of the subject site, and the site is located within Level D evacuation zone. This is an aerial of the subject site. It's right here, outlined in purple. It is located south of the intersection of East Broadway Avenue and North 65th Street. The subject site is also south of East Columbus Avenue, which is a transit infrastructure corridor. The surrounding area has commercial and industrial uses along East Broadway and East Columbus Drive. To the south and west of the subject site are residential uses and vacant land. This is the future land use map. The subject site is here, outlined in the reddish color. That's transitional use 24 designation. And the subject site is surrounded by transitional use 24. Further to the east and also over here in the west, that is HI, land use designation. Planning Commission staff reviewed the application and found no adverse impacts to the surrounding neighborhood. Parcels to the east of the subject site are zoned for commercial and industrial uses. While there are existing single-family detached units to the north and south of the parcel, the comprehensive plan requires commercial uses to be buffered from any residential development. The comprehensive plan promotes compatible development and redevelopment to sustain stable neighborhoods and encourage the social and economic health of the city and discourages residential development near industrially zoned parcels. Given the presence of industrial general and commercial intensive zoning to the east and north of the subject site, the proposed industrial general zoning supports policy direction by discouraging the potential of residential development. The request would also encourage a development pattern that is economically sound by encouraging infill development on vacant and underutilized parcels. Due to the presence of industrial general parcels in the immediate surrounding area, Planning Commission staff finds the request comparable and compatible with the surrounding area and is consistent with the development pattern anticipated under Transitional Use 24. This concludes my presentation. If you have any questions.
Questions or comments?
Thank you again, Council. LaShawn Dock, Development Coordination. And I have the zoning aerial for this property. So the subject site is outlined here in red. This is 65th Street, and just to orient you on this map, this is Broadway, and this is 66th Street, and this is the site that's located here in the red. And that site is currently vacant. It has a lot area of 5,163 square feet. As you're aware, this area, when you're looking at this part of the city, when you're along Broadway and Columbus East, you have that mixture of industrial uses. You have some residential that's there, and you even have some industrial uses that have historically been used on residentially zoned property. And so this is the case in what you see here. You see the majority of this area is zoned RS50. And then as you along the corridor along Broadway, you have your commercial intensive and then your industrial general zoning districts. And then here are pictures of the site. So that's the site currently. This is also another view of the site. I went out just the other day and took it. Has the fence up. This is south of the site, so this is adjacent. That's the one residential structure that's on that block. This is the view. This is looking south, and that's on 65th Street. This is west of the site, so this is across the street. This is northwest, so the picture I just showed you was here, and then this is the site that's on the right of this picture off the screen. And then this is further north, as you're heading up towards Broadway. The development review and compliance staff reviewed the request and finds the request consistent, and I'm available if you have any questions, Council.
Any questions from staff? Thank you. Additioner.
I'm Jose Saavedra. I'm buying the property for parking my truck for my I have a small business appliance and installations. We can park in trucks in my house because, you know, I have a sign with my Jose appliances. So we use it just for parking, some small water in the truck or washer, whatever I have to do there.
Does that conclude your?
Yeah, I don't have much to say. She say everything.
Any comments or questions for the petitioner? Councilman Miranda.
What about the audience?
I was gonna get us first and then.
You wish. I want to hear from the audience.
Nobody.
All right, momento. Anybody in the audience that wishes to?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Urban Forester.
Move to close.
Second. All right, we have a motion to close by Councilman Miranda, seconded by Councilman Goods. All in favor?
Aye.
Who do we have? We have Councilwoman Hurtak.
Yes, file number REZ 22-94, ordinance being presented for first reading consideration, an ordinance rezoning property in the general vicinity of 2211 North 65th Street in the city of Tampa, Florida, and more particularly described in Section 1 from zoning district classification RS50 residential single family to IG industrial general, providing an effective date.
Second.
Want to elaborate just a little more?
Sure, the proposed zoning district would allow for development that is comparable to the character of the surrounding uses and is consistent with the wide range of uses allowed under the Transitional Use 24 designation. The proposed zoning category is consistent and compatible with the existing development pattern in the surrounding area.
Second.
We have a motion made by Councilwoman Hurtak, seconded by Councilman Maniscalco. Roll call vote.
Miranda,
Yes.
Maniscalco,
Yes.
Vieira, Hurtak,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Goods,
Yes.
and Citro.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously. Second reading and adoption, motion carried unanimously with Vieira being absent. Second reading and adoption will be held on November 3rd, 2022 at 9:30 a.m.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank everyone for a long night. Oh, let's go to information and reports. Councilman Carlson.
None, thank you.
Councilman Maniscalco.
No, sir, thank you.
Councilwoman Hurtak.
Yes. According to the Department of Children and Families, in 2020, 515 crimes of domestic violence were reported to Florida law enforcement agencies, resulting in 63,217 arrests. Advocates created 150,799 tailored safety plans and provided a total of 191,451 hours of advocacy and counseling services and received 72,321 domestic violence hotline calls from individuals seeking emergency services, information, and safety planning assistance. Many more survivors of domestic violence are not reporting their abusers to the police or accessing services at domestic violence services due to reasons such as shame, fear, or being prevented from doing so by their abusers. For this reason, we may never know the true extent of abuse in our country and in our state. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, so I would like to make a motion to bring a draft resolution regarding domestic violence to council on October 20th, 2022.
We have a motion made by Councilwoman Hurtak, seconded by Councilman Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
That's it. Councilman Goods. Councilman Miranda. Council Shelby.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You had raised earlier the question of the rules of procedure. I'm wondering, council in the past has had meetings in the mascot room or in the sister cities room at a convenient time, either before a meeting or on a separate day. It's very hard to plan these things, but the question is council, well, you could do it during a meeting, but the advantage to doing it the other way is it's more informal. It's still a noticed public meeting, but it's just not televised, and council can talk without facing forward. So the question is, what is the chair's direction, or what is council's pleasure in how we address the issues that Mr. Chairman wishes to have addressed and the changes that need to be made?
Councilman Maniscalco.
I would suggest, I don't think it should be a long discussion, but perhaps 8:30 before our next 9 a.m. meeting, our next regular meeting. I have to look at the calendar, and perhaps we do it downstairs in the mascot room, and just discuss the order of business so we can speed things along. I know, we spent 3.5 hours this morning before we really got into the agenda, and I think that's fair enough, so we don't have to set a special call, come in on a separate day, and we're already here, or even 8:15 if it's necessary, but it shouldn't be a lengthy discussion. Yeah, I'm up at 5 in the morning. We can do 5:30. We can do 5:30.
You're lucky I'm here at 9.
Well, I forgive me if I'm wrong, I thought this was our house. I thought this was our house. I feel we have far too long discussions on things that should only take 15 minutes. But that's just my humble opinion.
So let's say 8:30 in the mascot room,
Well-
before a regular council meeting, we're gonna be here already, and
A half hour with this council? I guess we can do it.
Can we,
I'll do whatever council wishes. The thing is, clearly, there are things that I'm sure council members want to address, and certainly the chair wants to be able to have efficiently run meetings, and there are changes. For instance, one of the things is, into these rules of procedure will go the guidelines, and there's a determination of whether you want to keep, even remotely, and we could have this discussion, because we always have the same number of people, it looks like, and the same people lately. And there's a return to normalcy, so a lot of people are staffed to be able to run these meetings virtually, so it's council's pleasure as to how you want to continue.
Mr. Chair.
But it took me longer than a half hour to say that.
Councilman Goose.
Maybe I was asleep. I don't know what you were talking about. Why are we even meeting? I'm confused. What are we talking about?
I don't know either.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Me neither, but
Then let's end this
Well, okay,
conversation. No, we're spending too much damn time on it now. Let's end this conversation now.
I'm not gonna go to a meeting to have a
Can I
meeting.
say one, can
or
I say
after
one
the
more
meeting.
thing to address Councilman Goose? Presently, we schedule hearings for 9:30 in the morning, and there are people, and it's published in the newspaper, and it's on the agenda, and for years, we've taken those sometime shortly thereafter, 9:30. Lately, this council has been getting them till not only past lunch, till 3 in the afternoon. And I've been hearing feedback. A lot of people don't want to talk to council members about it. They talk to other people, me being one of them.
Well, Mr. Chairman Shelby, since you addressed me on that, if you recall, we changed it to where we had all these accommodations and stuff like that on a special day, and now it seems like all these 4 and 5 accommodations are coming back during regular council session that's taking up 2 hours to do versus when we had changed it originally. When I was the chairman, I believe Mr. Scott changed it, where all that stuff went on that off day of Tuesday, and we didn't have all that. So now, yeah, bringing all this special, turkeys and bringing all this other stuff back and these other things, yeah, you're going to have a long council meeting, and those people got to sit there and wait, which I don't know why you schedule a 9:30 meeting opening hearings when you know doggone well we never open anything at 9:30, ever. So really, like I said, we talked about it before, it needs to be really 2 days, because nowhere in the world we're ever going to do hearings at 9:30. It ain't going to happen unless you go back the way it was to where it's saying we have nothing, and you start those hearings at 9:30.
I think once you realize the problem will get better. I believe that it's by the time we get to where we meet of the question, we spend half a day discussing something that people look at and say, what are they saying? What are they
What we're talking about.
And it's not nobody's fault. I'm as guilty as anybody else. But I don't think I want to come in for half an hour or an hour on a Wednesday or before to come back to the same meeting. We're going to, if somebody brings a question, we're going to discuss what we discussed downstairs, back again upstairs. I guarantee you that.
No,
It's just human nature.
I don't disagree with you. I mean, this morning, listening to public comment, and we felt like we had to respond, and I thought to myself, wouldn't it be great if we had one of our aides here who could grab those people so that we aren't having to respond from the dais, because we're not supposed to. So if we could rotate, yes, but you can't just let people walk away from that. So if we had an aide here, if maybe they rotated, just to have somebody here that could grab that person and address it so that we don't have to from here.
But the problem is, and I agree with Councilmember Hurtak, the problem is that somebody will speak and they want to be seen on television because somebody asked them to come and do something, and then if they're not, well, you weren't there. Of course I was, but they pulled me aside, and they have to go. And that's.
Can I just say, if the chair feels that he has items that we should discuss, I'm happy to meet whenever he wants to talk about it. I would just ask that an agenda be presented in advance so we know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Pick a day, pick a time.
Let's table this thing.
Yeah, we'll talk about
I'm not coming. Make believe you're an airline, you're always late, that's all.
Fine. I don't know, is everybody leaving?
Mr. Chairman.
All I need is 3 here. The rest can go.
Mr. Chairman, you are recognized.
Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. October is Italian American Heritage Month, and we honor the achievements and contributions of Italian immigrants. This weekend at the Italian Club, we'll celebrate with food, music, and market, and we'll offer tours of the club, which was built in 1918 by the same architects who built City Hall 3 years earlier. So please, come and see the events that are open to the public starting tomorrow at www.italian-club.org. I motion to present a commendation to the Italian Club in celebration of, I'm sorry?
Second.
The Italian Club, the Italian American Heritage Month, to be presented off-site this weekend at this weekend's celebration.
We have a motion from Chairman Citro and a second from Councilmember Goode.
Can I ask
All
you
in favor?
what time is the celebration?
It's 3 different days. 3 different days.
Now I know it's Italian.
I celebrate every day being Italian.
Sicilian.
It's the best, the best.
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Motion from Chairman Citro, second from Councilmember Goode. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you. I have a request. I know that there are 2 council members that are going to the FRA next Thursday, and it is a wealth of information.
CRA conference.
Florida redevelopment. Put over the state of Florida. But I want to make sure that we are going to have a physical quorum here Thursday.
I won't be here, Mr. Chairman. I'm not gonna drive back.
I'm not asking you to. I'm asking the other
Yeah.
5.
You know
The
what?
other 5.
Thank
Then
God.
at least I can have 4
I'm
here.
coming back.
I'm glad you mentioned what it was. I thought it was Florida Retirement Association.
So
I'll go with you.
I'm just wanting to make sure that we're gonna have a physical quorum here.
I'll be here. You gonna be here? That's 2, that's 3, 4.
Receive and
We're
file.
good. Move to receive and
Second.
file. Second from Councilman Carlson. All in favor? Aye, we are adjourned.